Hey friends, it is Heidi, and today we are in the garden. We're going to do a little garden update. I know it's been a while, but lots has been happening in the garden that I wanted to show you. Some is good, some is ugly, but we're going to take a look at all of it and see what we learned from a few things that went wrong, some things that went right. You know, I think there's lots of lessons that can be learned in the garden, and I think it's a really great teacher. And there's always something new to learn and new ways to do things. So let's jump right in. So I want to show you, this is something that went great. This is the lettuce we planted weeks and weeks ago when it was still kind of snowing, quite honestly. I have a few varieties, 2 green leaf lettuces, a red leaf, and then some little spinach. And as you can see in my backyard, I have a huge maple tree, and it is sending down all the helicopters. I call them helicopters, they're seeds. So pretty soon I'm going to have to be pulling out all the little maple trees that are trying to grow here. Let's take a look at this. This is mint, and this is mint that I planted 2 years ago. And this is a cautionary tale about mint, friends. It will fill the container that you put it in. So this whole thing is trying to be mint, and I pull it and I pull it because I decided I didn't want a whole container of mint. But case in point, when we pull mint, it sends out runners. And so you have one mint plant and it runs all the way over to its little friends way on the other side of your bed. And that's why when you pull one and then it keeps coming back and coming back and coming back, that's why. So be careful where you put your mint. All right, now this is some things that didn't go quite as planned. This is a teeny tiny tomato guy, and he's not looking good. And these are some other tomatoes that are looking a little bit better. But I think what my problem was is I started them indoors too early, and they grew way too big, and I didn't pot them up, and they ran out of nutrients. So next year, don't get too excited. We're going to wait to sow our seeds indoors, because this is what's going to happen. They're going to grow way too big before you can get them outside, because my last frost date wasn't until May 15. Same thing with these cucumbers. Look at it, he's not looking so hot. But I think they're gonna recover. There's some new growth you can see on the ends. And so I think, I don't want them to flower yet. We're gonna pinch those off. I think those are gonna recover. Now, one thing I did do this year is I have a lot of containers, because I started way too many things inside and I needed lots of containers because I only have 4 small beds. I'm in the city. So what we have here is a tomatillo, and I have 6 tomatillos. And then this is a really nice tomato. He's looking good. More tomatillos, tomatoes, and then this is another cucumber. Cucumbers are ready to take off. And you know, you can trellis cucumbers, or you can just let them trail along the ground. You know, it's going to vine either way. They do like to be really, really wet in terms of the soil, so I definitely need to water these. This was a failure right here. Dead. So I don't think we're going to be able to resurrect him. Here's a little broccoli. I think he'll come back. So I have broccoli and cabbage in this bed, and if you notice this monstrosity in the back, this was originally a Brussels sprout, and I didn't amend the soil again, and so it just bloomed and took off crazy, and I was going to pull it, but then when I came out to do it, all the bumblebees were bumbling around just enjoying themselves. So I thought, hey, let's leave it for the bees. I got some more guys going here, another tomato right here. So He needs water, but I think he's going to be able to be okay. There's some new growth coming. Fun fact about tomatoes is, let's take a look back over here really quick. This tomato plant, when I took it out of the little pot that I had it indoors in, I laid it on its side, and the pot is actually where I took it out over here in the soil. I laid it on its side because if you look really, really closely, all these little hairs have the potential to become roots. And so if they're very long, you lay them on their side, they're gonna be able to have that many more roots to go down into the soil. And then they will need either a trellis or you can just vine them along the ground. Most people trellis them, but I have seen people vine them on the ground. So I have even more pots here. And that's a tomatillo. And then it's my first year growing chamomile. The seeds were like almost like dust, quite honestly. So I don't know if they're gonna do well in a pot. We'll give it a go and see what there is to see. Now this bed, I know it's hard to see with all these helicopters. This is my kales and cabbages. They don't look great, but we're gonna see if they will make it through going into the ground. Again, it was a hard transplant for them because I waited way too long. Look how leggy that got. I don't know if that one will make it. But also in this bed, I have strawberries. So when we first moved into this house a few years ago, this whole bed was strawberries. And strawberries are interesting because they will come back year over year. You do need to re-amend them. And some varieties will continuously come back, and then some come back for about 5 years or so, and then they're all done. So we've kind of just been slowly letting them die out of this bed. And I'm not sure if I'm going to replace them. I'm not sure yet. May need to move the strawberry patch. All right. Then these are really great. These are the radishes that I sowed. I have 4 sets of radishes. We have French breakfast, hailstorm, watermelon, and then these are, let's see, German giant radishes. So these ones are going to get really big. And these are fun. You can see they're just starting to lose their baby leaves. So this is a baby leaf, like the first leaves, and then these are called true leaves. And the baby leaves will eventually die off and fall off, and then the true leaves are what grow. And then you can eat the radish, and don't sleep on those radish greens. You can eat those too. They're really good in pesto. These over here are my Sugar Ann peas that are growing. They're looking really good. Look at their little tendrils. They're ready to climb. So I do need to put some kind of a trellis or climbing support for them because they're ready to rock. All right. These are some cabbages. We'll see how those do. May be able to save them, not sure. And then this is my pile to go to the lawn and leaf dump. In the city I'm in, we do have a place that you can take those kind of like trash, but it's just lawn and leaf, and they recycle it all and turn wood into wood chips and all that. So I wanted to lastly show you guys the perennial bed that I have been working on for a few years. And perennials are cool because, so this is a starlight lily. It's probably going to get about 6 to 8 feet tall, and I got it from my mother-in-law, and it started off as just this single one, and every year it has little babies. So I'm going to need to stake that so that it will grow up nice and tall, and then once it blooms it won't fall over. Here's some hosta. Hostas will also self-propagate themselves. So really, if you get one little teeny tiny hosta, no need to buy a lot of them. It will grow and propagate itself. Look at this. Isn't this just beautiful? Look at that. Gorgeous. And the bees are loving it. We have some more lilies, some remnants of the daffodils and tulips. Those are just finishing up here. And then back here, this is case in point, hostas. I started this with 1 and 2 teeny tiny little hostas, and I was like, let's put a daylily that was small, and then some other lilies. And this was 1 lily 3 years ago, and look, it's already starting to bud. Perennial beds just need time. They will make themselves beautiful. All they need is a few years. Don't go spending a bunch of money on perennial plants at the stores, because you can get them from a friend. Just have them section you off a little bit for free, or maybe you pay them like $2 for their time, and then you can put it into your garden, and then in a few years you can bless somebody else with a cut in a section of yours. This is going to be an iris. I put this iris in last year. It was just this one single stalk, and now I have 2 new ones. And I was a little worried about this iris because last year we were power washing the deck and we totally power washed the iris straight on over. So I was a little worried about that one, but he's making a recovery. And then this is really fun. This is chicks and hens. And it's technically a succulent, and here in Michigan you don't really think of succulents being able to grow outside, but these are loving the shade that they have. I have a huge maple tree and then also a pine tree. So this perennial bed is quite shady. Probably only 4 hours of sunlight in the mid-morning. But chicks and hens are cool because they will, every other year, different ones will come up and then they'll die back and then they'll come up again. And then if a friend wanted some, I could give them this guy. And then in a few years, they'll have their own little patch. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this garden tour. Some successes like the radishes and the lettuce in the perennial garden, and then some not so great things going on like the poor broccoli, and I think I'm gonna get a few tomatoes yet, and the tomatillos are making a good comeback. But that just goes to show, you know, gardening, you got to take the losses with the successes. And next year I definitely learned something, so we'll apply that and into a new season. All right guys, I hope you had a fun little garden tour, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.